You and a number of people know I am by default a software technologist. But it goes from LinkedIn, Airbnb, a whole bunch of other things, and it's entirely because of AI. So what happened is I was sitting with my partners at Greylock, and I was saying, look, there's going to be a bunch of coding agents, there's going to be a bunch of productivity, but there's a bunch of areas that I actually think that the classic Silicon Valley software technology are massively transformational. That is extremely important to do, that won't be the usual, oh, just CS will solve the whole problem, but it can be a really strong amplifier. And I had the fortune of being, kind of leading the first commercial investment in OpenAI and being on the board and other things, and so I was seeing what was coming. And so I flew out to New York, had dinner with Siddhartha Mukherjee, who's here in the audience, and said, hey, I've got this idea. And he said, oh, well, that idea is better than you think, right? I've done a bunch of stuff in CAR-T and all the rest, and here's kind of the way to think about it. And we said, okay, let's sit down, and we looked at kind of thin slicing the entire process by which you start with an idea, you kind of have a target, you have kind of how the whole drug discovery process works, all the way to clinical trials and FDA, and it was like, okay, which places could AI be at minimum a 10x, preferably 100 plus x, if you kind of reinvent the process. And to kind of give a taste of that, also in software, like we've announced the deal with Schrodinger, because part of what my theory is, these large language models are great, they have a large compression of a bunch of different information, but actually, in fact, when you begin to put in the kind of interesting constraints of how you look at it, so for example, Schrodinger brings physics and chemistry knowledge, and that should be part of the model you're training, the space you're exploring as part of what you're doing in order to create an AI generative factory. So fundamentally, I'm a software guy, and I'm here as an AI guy. And the rest of it all just strikes me as kind of a little bit of a horror show from the tech side, because it's kind of like, how does that FDA process work? Oh, but Sid covers all that stuff very well.